Hey friends, today I am doing some fermenting in the kitchen. As far as the minimal garden harvest I'm getting this year, I'm grateful for getting anything out of my garden because a lot of people are pulling all of their plants, especially when it comes to tomatoes. So many people are having so many problems with deer and other animals. I am not the only one. Now, today I'm going to be fermenting tomatoes on camera here. However, I use the same recipe, the same basically everything for fermenting pretty much everything. For example, these are lemon cucumbers, and I'm actually recording this video because I had so many requests for a tutorial as to how I personally ferment my lemon cucumbers. So this is for you guys who asked. The lemon cucumbers, personally, I have tried fermenting them whole, but I have the same issues with fermenting tomatoes whole. And what happens is that the skin gets sort of leathery and unpleasant over time, and also it's not as efficient from a space perspective. So that's something to consider. I always slice everything before I ferment it now. My lemon cucumbers, I love garlic, and so I put, I don't know, a clove or two of garlic in the bottom. I used to chop it up, but I don't anymore because I just don't care. So there's that. These lemon cucumbers I fermented this year. We're in a drought. It's pretty bad, and I haven't been able to water things very well. So my garden, my basil is doing just fine with the drought. My sweet peppers are doing just fine with the drought. Neither one of those have needed watering. I'm struggling to keep up with the need for water when it comes to tomatoes and cucumbers, and a lot of my cucumbers have already, my plants have already died. And of course we get these toxic rains sometimes where the plants just give up and die overnight. Or they immediately look like they're in a drought. So this is also the same sort of recipe, I guess you'd say, that I use for garlic scapes. Garlic, I'll be planting again the end of October. I have been replanting garlic every year for, I don't know, a handful of years or so. And garlic's very easy for me to grow. And of course it's an amazing food medicine. So let's get started. Now, some people don't sanitize their jars, their weights, and their lids. I do because these tomatoes, for example, I have had in the refrigerator for over a year, or maybe a year. So that is why I personally sanitize, because I like to ensure my ferments stay mold free for as long as possible. Now sometimes over time you'll have this white stuff growing on the top, and I do keep my ferments in the refrigerator. You'll have this white stuff growing on the top. I skim that off, throw the white stuff out, and the ferment's fine. So if you're using a specific one of these, the fermenting weights, I'll link to these. These are the cheapest ones that I found online, and I think I bought 3 or 4 packs or so of them. And you'll want a wide mouth jar for that. I will link to my super carrots recipe, and it has some other options that you wouldn't have to pay any money for a fermenting weight to use. But I ferment so much that I need the weights. So I'm not going to show you everything because you have a brain, because you're here. For my vegetables and fruits, I put them in the sink, and fill it with cold water, and then put, I don't know, maybe a tablespoon or 2 of my homemade vinegar in there, and I let them soak. For my cucumbers, I scrub them. Obviously it depends on the fruit and vegetable. Now these, I have already done that, and I've already cut them. These are cherry tomatoes. I've already cut them in half or so. So I have to go off screen for a second. All right, so I have my wide mouth canning jar here, and my hands are clean, and I touch I wash my hands constantly and I touch all of the food. That is what I do here. So I'm just filling, not filling. Usually I put about 2/3 a jar or so of whatever I'm fermenting in there. And then I need something to hold them down because there's so many little pieces. Now this is a squash leaf. Ooh, this one doesn't look so good. Hold on. All right, sometimes I have to use more than one of the smaller ones. So this is a leaf from a squash. The deer have been just ransacking squash in the garden this year, and so I'm just putting it in nicely here. And then I take my fermenting weight, put this on top. You don't really need to press down, it's just fine like that. And then I just got, I have filtered water coming through my kitchen faucet, so I just got 2 cups of water here. And then I have my Redmond salt, which I'll link to below on Amazon and on eBay and Walmart. So I have 2 cups of water, 1 3/4 teaspoons approximately of sea salt. Now, your mileage may vary as to the specific concentration of salt that you want to use. Everybody's different, and that's okay. I encourage you to experiment and see what works best for you. I'm sure there is a specific limit at which point things won't ferment, but this is what I use personally, and it works for me, and I like it, so that's what I do. Now, I personally use my tomatoes on pizza. We have pizza, homemade pizza, completely from scratch. The only thing I don't make from scratch is the raw cheese. I make the pesto constantly. I'll link to my pesto recipe as well. I make the pesto recipe and put up pesto for a year basically in the freezer. And every Friday night, that is our, okay, we made it through another week in this insane world. That's our reward, Friday evenings. So I've got it all stirred up here. Another option, if you don't want to stir, is you can put it in a different jar and shake the jar up. Some people actually don't do anything to dissolve the salt as well, or at all. And there's actually still some that's not dissolved down here at the bottom. Again, you just have to make everything yours. Figure out what works for you. Now it's bubbling up some. You want to be sure that there's some head space at the top. This is called head space. Excuse me. And, oops, I got a seed there, tomato seed there. The reason why you want to ensure that there's some space at the top is because it will bubble up some as it ferments. Now I have my lid and my band, and I'm just going to put it on here, but I'm not going to tighten it. Well, I just tighten it all the way. I'm not going to tighten it the whole way, so you can tighten it the whole way and then loosen it up some, because basically gas will build up, and then you need to release this. It's called burping the jar once or twice a day. Now, how long should you ferment them? Well, it's up to you. You have to figure out what you like best and what your family likes best. I personally only ferment most items for a few days on the countertop, and then I put them in the fridge. And the reason why is because there's going to be a lag for me before I use the fermented foods, and they do continue to ferment a little bit in the refrigerator, even though it's a lot cooler over time. So for example, as I've already showed you, I've got these tomatoes from about a year ago, and I'm using them up on our pizza right now still. So I'm super grateful for that. I'm super grateful for what I have gotten from the garden thus far this year. If you're struggling with gardening this year, join the club. and know that you are in good company, because there are so many people, as I said, who have pulled out their plants this year because it is just not going well. And animals are eating everything. So I think that's pretty much comprehensive as far as I can think of. Oh, do you have to burp them in the fridge? I don't. I haven't had to. That doesn't mean that it never, I mean, maybe I should. I probably should. Honestly, I probably should. If you have any other questions, especially on this topic, then send me an email via our contact us form. I will link to that below, and I'll address it during a Q&A, because I want to be sure that you guys have the information needed to ferment. Members, paid member or not, paid subscriber or not, I want to be sure that everyone has the information needed to ferment easily, because these have replaced buying probiotics for us. So this is a way that you can save some money and improve your health at the same time. Now, if you're cooking the fermented food, then that's going to kill off generally most of the good beasties. However, it still tastes good. But, you know, you can, Dave has scrambled eggs every day, and so he has some sauerkraut or, you know, some of this or something fermented every day with it. And I typically have something fermented every day as well. And of course there's the vinegar as well. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it. And thank you so much for being here. Please give this video a thumbs up and be sure to subscribe, and know that I address a lot of different topics. And if you aren't into those topics, then you can just ignore videos on those topics. Thanks so much for being here. Have a most beautiful and blessed day. Now Toxic out.